you there. Let's go back to the phone lines. We've got Jennifer McCreath phoning in from St. John's, and it's been a long, long, long time since I've spoken to you, Jennifer. Thank you for calling.
How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, so, tell me your thoughts on this issue, encouraging more gender diverse people and women to run in politics here.
Yeah, I missed the first half of the show, so I'm not sure if these two quick points have been raised, but I wanted to bring up two issues. One is barriers to entry can be access to resources. If you don't have a lot of people in high places with money and knowledge and skill set, it's very difficult just to get organized to the point where you can get on the ballot and run a campaign. My second point I wanted to make was we seem to be scrutinizing politicians and political candidates, especially the diverse ones, more than ever before. We're digging through Twitter to see what people said 10 years ago, and I think a lot of people are self-disqualifying themselves because they just don't want to have to put up with this type of digging. And I mean, I ran very recently in the provincial election, and I have enemies out there, I admit it, but they were digging up old tweets and just twisting what I had to say completely in a different direction, to the point where I was made to look like a horrible person. And I don't know, that's a lot of, it's tough enough to run an election, the stress and the anxiety, having to put family and friends through this. It's, I can see why a lot of people might just say no thank you to that.
I'm so glad that you're raising that issue, because social media is, it can be a viper's nest, right?
Yeah.
So, how would you respond to what he's saying, Jillian?
So Jennifer, your first points, absolutely. And
I'm
this
sorry,
is one of
what she said, Jennifer. My deepest apologies there.
No problem.
Jennifer, your first points there about a huge barrier to entry is having access to money and people who know what they're doing. So Equal Voice NL's Campaign College, that's a platform where people can have access to folks who have done this before and expand your network, because often women and marginalized people, they don't have access to people who can raise them lots of money, or people who have a lot of free time to devote to these campaigns. So it can be, when we're engaging people in these events, it's not only to teach them, but it's also to give them access to those networks. And Jennifer, I absolutely agree with you that women and marginalized folks are often subject to these purity tests that straight white men aren't. We often are very forgiving of straight white men and some of their conduct and their behavior, or maybe their past behavior, and often we are holding women and gender diverse folks to a higher standard and more scrutiny. And it's
do any examples come to mind there, Jillian?
So often, I mean, we will look into the different positions that women and gender diverse folks have had, and then they become bigger news stories. And often men are usually we're more forgiving in terms of explaining away some of the positions or indiscretions they have. I mean, we only have to look at Donald Trump. I mean, the threshold for bad behavior was extremely big down in the States for 4 years. If that was a woman leader, that just would not have been tolerated.
Jennifer, how many times have you run now?
Yes, I've run 4 times, twice municipally, once federally, and once provincially.
And do you think that you'll run again?
I keep telling myself no, but this political disease, I'll call it, drags you right back in. And I think I heard someone question about losing and what that will do for you. Sometimes just getting a diverse voice out there can raise awareness. I mean, I think education and awareness is critical to finding acceptance for oppressed minorities. And even in losing, you can get a bit more of a platform. You can get your issues aired, and hopefully you can demonstrate that just because you're a transgender person doesn't mean you shouldn't be interested in politics. And we're all human beings at the end of the day, and we all have different experiences in life and challenges in our past that we've learned from. And I think there's a pretty good chance I'll be back at it again. And I honestly don't know when. I'm kind of burnt out from that provincial one, so I can't say whether or not I'm going to run in any of the upcoming ones this year. But I may get involved and help someone else. I mean, that's a possibility as well. Because as I mentioned earlier, finding people who have that experience can be a barrier to entry. And if I can find someone that I want to help get involved in this, maybe I'll work from behind the scenes.
Really good to speak with you again, Jennifer. I'm so glad that you called in today. Thank you.
This is a great topic. Thanks for running it.
And there are so many aspects of this issue that we simply have